Hello, amazing folks. Welcome to another episode of the podcast Trivia Talks. In today's episode, we have with us Mr. Anurag Singhal. Sir is having experience in various domains. If I talk about his professional journey, he is CA by profession. He completed his CA in 2007 with All India rank 22. After that, he completed his MBA, 1 year MBA program from IIM Ahmedabad. He is having more than 11 years of experience in leading corporate houses. He is also chief mentor in cajobportal.com. Apart from that, he is also a YouTuber with 60K subscribers. He had tried stand-up comedy. He is also a podcaster and he writes on Quora, Medium, LinkedIn, etc. And he's currently teaching on Udemy and other tech platforms too. In today's episode, Sir will be talking about personal finance. He will be guiding us and he will be also suggesting us regarding how, why, and when questions on personal finances. It will be a very interesting conversation and we both enjoyed the discussion. So, without any further ado, let's start this amazing discussion with Anurag Singhal. Let's go. So, hello, sir. Welcome to Trivia Talks, and I feel so blessed to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Tarun. It's been a good experience. Yeah.
Yeah. So, sir, I asked this very normal question to all my guests, and I'm asking you also. So, sir, how are you spending your time in this lockdown, and like what additional or what new things you are trying in this lockdown?
So in this lockdown, basically, I created some e-learning courses on financial modeling and stock market and advanced Excel and all. And I've been creating, like you, I am also a podcaster
Yeah.
and a YouTuber. So I create a lot of content to help people in their financial planning
Yeah.
and career decisions. So recently, like there were these host of IPOs Mazagon and UTIAMC and Chemcon Speciality and Angel Broking. So I kind of did a dissection of each of these IPOs and brought out some insights. And fortunately, like the subscription numbers are in sync with my recommendations. As in UTIAMC was an avoid as per me, and actually the subscription numbers were not very good about that. So different bits and bits. So we keep learning, we keep sharing. That's how this lockdown is also happening.
Okay. Right, sir. So, sir, yeah, I was asking about that also. So, sir, you have completed your CA in 2007 and you got All India rank 22.
Yeah.
And before that, in your IPCC, you got All India rank 25.
Yeah.
After that, you went in the corporate world. You worked for around 8 years, if I'm not wrong. And you went for your PGPX for 1 year
Yes.
in IIM
Yes.
Ahmedabad.
Yes.
Sir, you are also chief mentor in cajobportal.com. You are a YouTuber, as you said. You are a podcaster. You have tried stand-up comedy too, and
Yeah.
you are writing on Medium, Quora. You are also a teacher on Udemy and all. So, sir, like I just want to ask two questions. First question is, why MBA after doing amazing in corporate world for 8 years, 8 to 9 years? You decided to go for MBA. So, sir, what was the reason behind that? Was it just for the job switch, or you would like to try new things by doing MBA?
So if you have read this classic book called The Alchemist by Paul Coelho,
Yeah.
so he talks about this concept of meeting new people who take you through their to your ultimate destiny. So my objective of doing an MBA was to meet those new people on campus who would help me challenge my hitherto deep-rooted beliefs about myself. So, for example, when I had gone to IIM Ahmedabad, I was this so smug about myself that yeah, I know the world of financial modeling, NPV, IRR, not knowing the fact that this is not the end of the world. So there were so many things that go into running a business like marketing and brand building and supply chain, which I realized that I was quite deficient in. And 1 year after 5, 6 years of work ex is always a good time for you to go back to a classroom and introspect of what you really want from life and how are others. So you kind of spend a lot of time with people who have walked different paths and are now coming to this MBA. So from that journey perspective, I think that journey itself for me was very enriching in terms of reward. Yes, campus placements or an enhanced salary on job or a startup which does well, yeah, those things also come ancillary to that MBA decision. But my primary objective actually was to go there and learn a bit about things beyond finance. And yes, at that point of time, this CA job portal, we had just started as a blog. It had reached some 2 lakh odd views. And that was my selling point in my interviews also for PGPX, that there is this blog I have. One guy has got a job on account of this blog from a post here. How can I take this forward? I want to get a structural framework. So that was the MBA for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So, sir, we also like heard a lot of things. Like, if you want to start your business, if you want to have a startup, so you should go to some like top premier B schools, and just because of these networks, those startup get hype in the initial stage of their
Yes.
life.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
is it true? Like, is it actually happens?
So yes, sir, to an extent that network effect plays. So see what happens. See, big B schools, whatever you call them within in India or abroad, what happens is that the kind of peer group that you have,
Mm-hmm.
they will help you plan better on your startup. So eventually you will see that the end result which comes out of this is also much better. So if you
Right.
look at it from an IM, now if you look at compare that with an IIT, so
Hmm.
they have that technology edge. So all the big startups which have raised money currently, let's say if you look at that as a benchmark, they are
Yeah.
people who have a tech background, have from good premier institute. So that institute has a sort of a halo effect, because people tend to take you seriously. They give you that 60-second elevator pitch because you are from a marquee institute, and that helps a lot in sales and marketing. And the structural frameworks that are taught to you during your MBA program also help you think on your business problems also very, very deeply. So
Yeah.
for example, things like so when we started CA job portal, so my wife is full time into it. So we had
Okay.
this classic dilemma of whether we
Mm-hmm.
should print calendars, okay, and uh, distribute it to the HRs. And then one alum of IIM Ahmedabad only told me that this is all cliched now. No one, if you give calendars, you'll spend up like 1 lakh rupees giving, printing the calendars, sending it to different HRs, and it will end up in the peon's house, not on the table of the HR. Why can't you do something more creative? These are little tits and bits of things which happen because you are from in that elite company. But having
Right.
said that, there is no link between a startup success and the pedigree of the B school or the technological school that you are from. The ultimately it is the idea and how well that is executed. And for that, you have the best example of a Dhirubhai Ambani. So conventional education really has a limitation in terms of defining you.
Very true.
So yeah, that's my take.
Yeah, very true. So, sir, after like completing your MBA, did you like sit for the placement, or you like
Yeah. So I
continue?
I was so I had a lot of campus placement offers or companies
Yeah.
interested, but I had to come back to Calcutta
Okay.
more for personal reasons. So I rejoined my same employer, which I was there before, PGPX,
Yeah.
and that's how it is. Placements, yes, a lot of good companies come on campus. So this year also, like the median salary has been upwards of 30 lakhs.
Mm-hmm.
But that is if you are mobile across India. In my case, those were those constraints, and I have a TEDx talk also why I chose to stay back in Calcutta and replace FOMO with JOMO. Yeah, so I
Okay.
came back to Calcutta, and my
Yeah.
wife runs the CA job portal now. She's also a qualified chartered accountant, Sonia, and
Okay.
that's how it is.
Okay. Perfect, sir. So now, sir, talking about your diversified journey, if I like put it like that, sir, you have tried stand-up comedy. You have tried, like, you are a podcaster. You are a YouTuber with 60K, around 60K subscriber,
Yes.
and you write on Quora and Medium. So, second question of mine, which is coming for you, is after trying so many things, like, what is your experience? Because if I talk from a 20, like a person who is in 20s, he would like to do all these things which you have already done, right? So,
Yeah.
what is your experience from all these things, and what are your learning which you would like to share with our listeners?
Okay, so one, these things are very glamorous. They add to a lot of hype and excitement, but then they also create you are overburdened by the weight of expectations. So trust me, the every time you create a podcast, every time you create a YouTube video, the
Yeah.
journey does not end there. Then you feel tempted to distribute it to as many groups as possible and as many social media handles as possible, because your mind is besotted by that number, how many people saw it, how many people liked it, how many people commented it, and that kind of becomes a very very stressful journey also beyond the point. So, and it is this transition from just starting as a YouTuber or a podcaster to becoming a very famous YouTuber or podcaster, that in midst of that, whether the podcast has hit 1,000 views or 2,000 or 5,000, and what really clicked and what really didn't click, and how did the audience react, that also has its own side effects. So a lot of people just look at the glamorous side. So that is one learning of mine, that don't just look at it as a very very glamorous thing. So there is a lot of side effects also that come out of it. So for example, right now, the before this podcast I launched a video. It does not end there. Till the evening my mind is going to keep thinking about how many people came, how many people came. If they
Yeah.
keep a good number of people come, you feel very happy. That's very logical. But what if they don't? Then you're all alone, and you're cursing yourself that why this whole weekend is gone. People have not come. Yes, writing is very good. Writing is one of the best things that you can do. You should write your own diary. You should share your thoughts on social media, and it helps you reach out to a lot of people. And today there are youngsters who are looking for guidance on various things, and it is those little writings that you would put on a Quora, on a LinkedIn, etc., that people look forward to and probably imbibe a lot of values, because our traditional education system makes us ratify a lot of concepts in accounting and marketing and taxation, but those basic life related problems are not solved. So we kind of want to glean these from different postings. So therefore it is a very responsible task what you write on social media, especially if you have some traction, which I am now feeling that burdened by that responsibility. But yes, it helps you get a lot of outreach, and it is quite fascinating that sometimes I'm at airports and someone walks into me and says that, hey sir, I know you, I follow you on XX platform. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good part of the whole thing. So it has to be balanced. And then the monetization part is another challenge, which maybe we can talk at length sometime, some other day. So a
Right.
lot of content related ideas in India become very difficult to monetize. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true, sir. Like ultimately, someone who is starting their YouTube channel, they would like to, get monetized as early as possible. So that is very true. And yeah, it's also happening in case of podcasts also. Right now, we are seeing so many podcasts, and they are also in terms of getting monetized from Anchor or some other applications. So,
Yes.
talking about our topic, which we would like to discuss now, is personal finance. So, sir, the first question which I would like to put is, according to you, if you would like to simplify the term personal finance for the listeners, what is personal finance and why this is important for those who are early in the investing part?
Yeah. So personal finance to that matter is your finances. So personal is nothing as such, as you might be a microcosm in that larger societal picture.
Yeah.
But then, let's say you're laid off in COVID-19, then that journey is only about you and you alone. And how much is the saving that you have in your bank to sustain you till your next professional break that you have. And therefore, personal finance is about how do you plan your financial journey, and that has its own set of nuances in terms of how much you want to earn. Now that is beyond a point, beyond your control. And then what do you earn, how much do you spend, how much do you save. So that's in nuts and bits the whole thing.
And sir, like why this is important, like why one should learn about it and why one should focus on it in their early days.
Yeah, and that is something, it's a very good question, that why should at the age of 20s, you just started earning. Why personal finance? That's a more of a 30s and a 40s concept, not in the 20s. And that is what conventional thought might tell you. But trust me, it is the 20s when you get most tempted to buy a 1.5 lakh rupees bike and spend 1 lakh rupees on an iPhone, where you are not having income to justify that. So financial planning to me is also one thing, is that also cut your coat according to your cloth. So a lot of people are not doing that. They are living on EMIs. Okay, they are spending money on a lavish vacation abroad, splurging because of the Instagram and Facebook thing. So in the 20s, that becomes quite a temptation. And then you take a back seat. So in that 20s, if you could have planned your personal finance better, let's say started 5,000 rupees per month SIP in a mutual fund. We all know the rewards of starting early. So the money that you put in the 20s, think of it, after compounding, how much that will going to end at the age of 60 when you retire. So at the age of 20, in the 20s, it is very very important for you to think about personal finance. how you're going to save for unforeseen circumstances. God forbid that should not happen. But if something happens, then do you have accumulated wealth to? So I am more of the conservative on side on this, that I really want to cut my cloth according to my cloth and also have some further quote for the next desire of mine. So I don't spend so much as I earn, and I think that is a typical Marwadi traditional philosophy, maybe. And
Yeah,
that is what I always want to tell people also, that please save. COVID-19 has shown companies which were doing fantastically well were ruthless when they came to firing you. And what do you do when you are fired? Unless you have some saving of yours, it is all gone. And you are in a deep mess. And then do you go to friends and relatives to ask for money on loan? That can be one of the worst things that can happen to you. So you should have some sort of a credible savings that can sustain you for a year and a half for any unforeseen circumstances.
very true, sir. As we were talking about the early 20s or the beginners who are for the personal finance, so if I tell you like they are not earning anything right now, they're in the college and they would like to start investment, so they might be using their family, like the parents money, or maybe out of their pocket money they would like to invest. So what are
Hmm.
the right platforms in the initial time in which they can like invest, and they should not regret, like as you said rightly about the COVID-19. So right now many of the investors were very, in the panic situation that yeah, where is our money, whether it will be in the right direction or not. So
Yes.
like, yeah.
So I think mutual funds sahi would be one good bet that I can tell you. Now in mutual funds again, there is a whole of confusion whether you should put it in an index fund or in a
Right.
multi-cap fund or a small cap, depending on your risk appetite. So maybe in the 20s, the best bet that you can do is to put, let's say, 5,000 rupees per month in an index fund, because you know that the index has been the most stable and the most consistent performer over the last decades. It has its own
True.
set of pros and cons, but some sort of a safe mutual fund. So in our time when we were young, we had that fascination of Indra Vikas Patra and Kisan Vikas Patra. I'm talking about when I was in my 20s, 2004, 2005, we used to have that 1500 rupees ka Kisan Vikas Patra, which is going to double in 6.5 years and all. But now those things are very,
Okay.
very difficult to manage. In a digital economy, it is far easier for you to probably buy some digital gold, maybe get into mutual funds. If you already started somewhere in a job, it is always good that apart from the 12% basic salary, which is deducted as PF contribution, you put voluntary PF, because that is today one of the best modes where you can save money and get a government backed safe return. So you get like 7.6% or so returns, and think of the compounding effect. So maybe you can put, if 12% is the statutory norm, also put another 12% as a voluntary PF. Various ways and means where you can actually start saving money.
Right. And yeah, like you diversified the fund, and that's very good because we like always heard that don't put all your eggs in one basket. And yeah, this is the right thing. So, sir, talking about the digital currency part, so what is your take on that
So you're talking
regarding
about crypto.
yeah, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin? Yeah,
I think it is not everyone's cup of tea. It is
right.
something which is a very, very, very complex play. Something like, if you want to play options and futures on the stock market,
Very true.
it might seem tantalizing and very, very tempting from the outside, see that, hey, he's just written some options and made this much money. But do you really understand the complexities of that? Do you know how much is the downside, and are you prepared for that? So similarly for Bitcoins, you would look at the implied volatility in a Bitcoin pricing, and there is so much regulatory risk that is there in a Bitcoin or an Ethereum and all. So if you were to jump into that, take a very concerted call, and maybe start off with 10,000 rupees and say that what is the worst thing that is going to happen? This 10,000 rupees is going to go into zero, and upside is this might become 50,000. So
Yeah.
put that kind of money which you're prepared to lose, because this is not something which all of us really understand very well. Does not have a very long-standing history. Again, yes, this is an arbitrage play because everyone does not understand it. If everyone understands it, it becomes 5% per annum kind of a return play. But then yeah, it's not everyone's cup of tea. That is to sum up, I will say, if you understand it well, if you got mentors who have taught you the art of this, you never know, RBI is going to come up and say again that okay, we ban the currency trading in some for the other, then you just crash. And look at the days when post these announcements, it has crashed like miserably. So
True.
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's risky as of now. Yeah, so sir, talking about IPO also, like many of my friends are, very curious to invest in IPOs because they think listing day pe gain kama lenge, and that's sometime obvious because in this lockdown period, only market which was running was stock market constantly. So and
Yeah.
many new investors also, started investing. So, sir, what's your take regarding this? Like, should the beginners like us should invest in the IPO, और शुड दे वेट फॉर a bit of time जब थोड़ा सा अच्छा बन जाता है स्टॉक उसके बाद उनको इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए?
IPOs, what happens is that, yeah, so if you look at specific IPOs like CAMS, for example, it is like a buy and forget stock. You know
Yeah,
that this business is a proxy for the mutual fund growth in India, and it is does not have a high capital intensity. It's a service business, so your return on equity will always be very high. So if IPOs of this nature come, then it is a very very safe bet. But something like a Chemcon specialty chemicals,
yeah,
most people don't understand what exactly was it doing. Okay, it listed at a very high premium, and within the day it fell 20% from that high, and you really didn't have corners to look at ki ho kya raha hai. So every IPO is not a very safe bet. Some one good proxy for that is the gray market premium, which I have been telling people nowadays, that there are websites which publish this gray market premium. That is one of the best judges of whether the IPO is going to sail through and come up with flying colors or not. So look at the subscription numbers by day two. That is going to give you some sense of where the IPO is headed. Put your hard-earned money on day three. Advantage of an IPO is that, let's say if you apply for 15,000, what is the worst that is going to happen? It is going to list at 20% lower, and you just exit. So you're going to lose like 2-3,000 rupees. In some IPOs, I have lost money. Like S Chan bought at 650 rupees. It is currently trading at some 60 odd rupees. Because some IPOs are completely write off also. So
right,
more you get into investing, I think you're going to learn. So don't go out there with all guns blazing in one go. Take a calibrated view, one step at a time, and depending on how it pans out for you, not everyone's journey is going to be the same. And then take a concerted call. And sometimes what happens is that one IPO, for example, UTI AMC, this IPO will give you a reason to believe that HDFC AMC is a much better bet. So then you should buy HDFC AMC from the secondary market, because this company, let's say, is the falling market share, and you see that okay, which company then is doing well, and you know that okay, HDFC AMC is listed, it is doing very well, it is trading at twice the multiples which UTI AMC wants to list at. Then why not buy HDFC? So you also get a lot of good ideas, thematic ideas about the secondary market from these IPOs.
right. Yeah, so that's true actually. Like proper research is very much required before investing in those IPOs. Just because the IPO is coming, maybe the company is not that good, and we might lose our money, as you rightly said.
So I have prepared like a 4P framework here also, that A, who is the promoter of that company? The first P is P for promoter. Then
Yeah,
the second P is profits. Where does the business make money from? Where is their bread and butter activity? Three, where will be the promoters using the money for? Proceeds utilization. So is it an offer for sale? Will the money come into the company? And fourth, in terms of pricing, how cheap or expensive is it in terms of multiples, like price to book or price to earnings? How does it compare with peers? What is the gray market premium? So at least these basic parameters one should know. Just because some bhaiya or didi has told that put your money, that might not be a very wise idea to invest.
very true, sir. So as of now, we had 4 P's of marketing, but now we have 4 P's of finance. So thank you so much for that. So yeah, so talking about future and option, and which is very important because even I was trying to understand what exactly it is, and for the beginners, it will be very difficult to understand call, put, and short selling, everything like that. So, sir, can you please explain us in a very simple way that what exactly is future and option, and when is the right time one should one is ready to invest in those future and option?
Okay, so I will answer your both parts. One, you should get into futures and options only when you are a full-time trader in the market.
Okay,
Futures and options cannot be done on the sidelines. That
right.
okay, I spend 15 minutes a day on the markets and I will write some options or buy some futures. That will not happen. You'll end up losing your shirt.
Yeah,
Now, what is a future and option? Basically, say today I contract to buy Reliance 6 months later at what price? That is a future. It is a contract to buy or sell a particular security n number of months from now. An option is basically a right to buy or a right to sell. So a call option is a right to buy, a put option is a right to sell. So how do we trade in the market? If you are bullish about the market, so you buy Nifty today, assuming that it will go up in the next 1 month and therefore you will make money. If you are pessimistic about the markets, you short sell. So you sell off. So let's say you sold Nifty at 12,000 and then in 1 month from now it falls to 11,500. So that means this 500 is your net gain. So that FNO play can be done on the broader markets, on the Nifty or the bank Nifty in specific, or it can be done on specific stocks also. When you either short sell or you buy a call, you buy a put. The more exotic version is where you actually start writing options. You sell a call, you sell a put, and you earn premium, but you give a right to buy to someone else, and that exposes you to infinite risk. And then you can also play strategies like butterfly spread and straddle, etc. 2P, 1C, C plus, C minus at different levels, and you're playing ranges. It's in itself a huge, this derivative segment is a huge science in itself. And if you're really interested, then get full time into it. It is not for sidelines. It is not a game that can be played from the sidelines. This is what I would like to tell you, and all the
Very true.
listeners also.
Actually, it was very rightly explained. So now, sir, I would like to ask you, like, apart from all this which we have discussed, FNO, IPOs, or cryptocurrencies, and also about mutual funds, do you have any other suggestions or other recommendation for the listeners who would like to start investing in the stock market, and how should they start?
Okay, so in terms of stock market, I think again there should be some stock which you can buy and just forget. So something like an HDFC Bank, an HDFC AMC. You know the business, you know the promoters, you have seen the profit trends. You should not buy. So I'll tell you, I have made mistakes. Like one friend of mine tells me, "Bhaiya, Nandan denim बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है."
Mm-hmm.
एंड आई से हाँ अच्छा लग रहा है क्या ले लें क्या बोला हाँ भैया बहुत जबरदस्त है 180 में ले लीजिए एंड दैट स्टॉक टुडे इज एट 18 or 20-25 rupees. So
Oh my
I
God.
have completely lost value.
Yeah.
Or as Chandan IPO someone tells at 650 and you end up at 60, then these are the things where stock markets you make mistakes investing on hearsay tips. Always invest in a market leader, even if it comes at a premium. So you will never ever regret your decision of investing in a Nestle or in a Hindustan Unilever. MNC stocks, blue chip stocks, it is something like, अगर हाथी मरता भी है तो 1.25 लाख का बिकता है. You should always
Yeah.
invest in those kind of blue chip stocks, because small caps, micro caps, mid caps have that whole challenge that do you really understand that business well? Is it at some promoter play which is happening? Sometimes you'll find that GMM, I am not able to get that name correctly, GMM Plodia or something, that kind of a name. That stock started trading at 100 plus kind of P multiples, went up to as high as 6,500, and then the promoters decided to sell 25% in the market. So the name is GMM PFAUD DER.
Okay.
So this stock has really led to erosion of wealth in the minds of people. So therefore, stock market investing, do your research, read balance sheets, analyze financial statements. Don't just do it on hearsay. And if you are buying in a stock, look at it from a long-term perspective. Okay, I will look at it after 1 year now. Let's see. You look at a CAMS or an IRCTC. These are industry sector leaders, monopoly businesses, good competitive moats surrounding themselves. So that should be your philosophy for investing. And apart from stocks and the other instruments, maximize your PPF. I mean, that is one instrument where you can put 1.5 lakh rupees per annum. Government backed security, you get good interest, which is tax free. Why not maximize this? Youngsters generally 8.1% is the current rate of interest on a PPF. So think about it. Uh,
Okay.
this could be one thing that you can do if you have daughters. For example, I have daughters, so I put my money in Sukanya Samriddhi scheme. Not 8.1%, it is 7.1% PPF after September. So that's how it is.
Right, sir. So, sir, like even after we do the research, we have experienced this one, particular sector which have faced a lot of you can say a lot of controversy or something like that, the banking sector.
Hmm.
So Yes Bank was a very good bank for sure, and everyone, like a lot of them were investing about it, and they have their accounts also in that. So when such kind of circumstances are happening, of such kind of situations comes, like how should investor react, because they are not aware about the market situation. They are investor, वो पैसा लगा के भूल जाते हैं. So सर उस केस में क्या करना चाहिए, कैसे एग्जिट करें वहां से?
I think just cut your losses, just exit at the moment you realize that the story has gone awry. So a lot of people have lost money in trying to capture the falling knife called Yes Bank. So
Yeah,
when it started falling from 300, fell up to 180. I had friends in the banking fraternity who told me and said that boss, 180 में तो Yes Bank इससे खराब क्या होगा? And you
right.
know where did it go down to up to? So
Yeah,
don't try to trade that falling stock. If you have unfortunately held positions at let's say 300 when this entire news of Rana Kapoor's exit started, just cut your losses. There's no really point holding. I mean, yeah, you can always say, ki, what if this is a temporary thing? It just turns back. So that kind of sense you'll have to understand by talking to other market participants. One golden lesson, therefore, which I learned from my journey is that don't try to get into the stock market journey all alone. You should have two, three very close confidants, especially in the Indian stock markets where there's so much information asymmetry, so many gossips in the air. Exactly what is happening, people don't know. Then, if you have got some resourceful, well networked guys on your radar, it is always good.
very rightly said, sir. So, sir, now talking about the recommendation for sure, and this is the last question from my side, which is, apart from your YouTube channel, which is my recommendation for all the listeners, they can check out your YouTube channel, and I will be adding the link in the description. What
Hmm.
is your recommendation in terms of books and other resources?
In terms of books, okay, so see, one standard prescription is to read books by Warren Buffett and all that stuff, and read and listen to a lot of interviews, podcasts with promoters, and try to get a sense of the ethics surrounding that business. Okay, so for example, if you actually read the annual report of a company and try to read the commentary in the management discussion and analysis and trace the trends over the last 6 7 years, you see a consistent trend? Do you see a consistent philosophy? If you look at their investor call transcripts, what are the questions that people are asking them? How are they dodging the questions? Are they being upfront when they have made mistakes? Do they try to go lie around things and cover up things? You'll get a lot of sense around companies and stocks when you get into that kind of insightful research, annual reports, investor transcripts, maybe some interviews with the promoters, what is happening, block deals which are happening. So when the stock market is down, the share prices are falling, is the promoter buying from the stock open market for himself? So apart from those beginners guides to stock markets, etc., for that matter, the Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. So these are like a standard prescriptions which I have a stock market course on Udemy. At least for the basics it is very good. I have not really put a very complex stuff into it, but yes, that also you can look at it. And that's how it is. I think in the stock market, reading books and all is good, but the market is only going to teach you the most over a period of time, whom to trust, whom not to trust. I have lost like 5 lakh rupees by just trusting individuals कि भाई अगर ये अग्रवाल जी बोल रहे हैं तो ये तो कभी गलत नहीं बोलते हैं, ये स्टॉक अच्छा ही होगा. And
Right.
it has gone completely messed up. And then you can't really go back to that Agarwal ji and say कि अरे अंकल आप ही तो बताए थे. बोले कि मैं तो बताया था but तुमको अपना रिसर्च खुद करने का था.
Oh my God.
So that's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So practical experience is very important, and
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
and side learning will be always be there. So yeah,
Yes.
sir, that was all, and I hope listeners have learned a lot in terms of personal finance, and also about few technical terms which you shared from the
Yeah,
financial
sure.
world.
And
Yeah,
I enjoyed this conversation. It's been a very good initiative that you have taken, and
yeah,
I wish you the very best for growth of this initiative. The fact that you're a Xaverian also adds to my pride. I mean, that yeah,
yeah,
Xaverians are going places.
yeah.
Thank
Thank you
you
so
so
much,
much
sir.
for
Yeah,
having me on the show. Bye
yeah.
bye. All the best.
Thank you so much for joining, sir. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Well, that's all from today's episode. I hope you have liked it. In case if you have any suggestion or feedback, you can reach out to me at various social media handles. I'm adding the link in the description. Until next time, stay safe and stay tuned.